So I finished Metal Gear Rising. That last boss is pretty dumb.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I wish it was better designed. I had some trouble with it.
The fight itself, yeah, there were like when the big rocks start coming at you.
The blade mode that you have to go into, not consistent with the other boss blade modes where you're just like, I'm just going to wiggle the stick and then the things will disappear. Like, no, you have to be very precise. And I found the moments where you have to be precise, it's not designed that well for it.
I eventually got okay at it after dying twice.
Sure.
On that fight, but
I don't know if this is a direct comparison, but Devil May Cry was a game that made me realize I was perfectly happy with a boss that didn't play great if the spectacle was at a certain level of absurdity.
The spectacle, you know and I mean? When the last boss lays out the reasons why you have gone on this adventure to begin with, or like starts tying it in to stuff, I found it to be really fascinating and really dumb and great, and I ran through a whole gamut of emotions on that one.
It's weird.
Yeah.
The war economy.
Well, that's just MGS4 straight up coming at following on from that stuff and saying, here's the answer to this thing.
Yeah, I felt like I felt like I was listening to a Yahoo Answer conspiracy theory.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. 100%. You are, yes.
And that absurdity.
Someone went to a Ron Paul rally and then wrote that script.
And
all right,
who's doing it and why it's like it's. I don't want to overhype it. It wasn't as grandiose as you made it out to be, but it was also.
I really like it.
Also, a lot of fun. I think Metal Gear Rising is probably. I won't say my favorite Metal Gear game, but in terms of the fiction itself, I think it's my favorite Metal Gear game because it's not as so goddamn self-serious. Like, there's a little bit of that with Raiden.
Yeah. Like, he goes in the whole child soldier thing is a little too much.
But it doesn't, I don't know, it's not as heavy as, like, when Kojima gets all, like, I'm going to proselytize about, my feelings about the military and the war economy.
The way Konami keeps making me make these games. And yes.
And I just feel like there's a little distance there with Rising that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking with someone about it where I feel like maybe Metal Gear is getting kind of like George Lucas and Star Wars, where I like the world and the characters and what's possible in it, but that maybe I don't want Kojima to do it anymore. But I enjoyed Rising quite a bit.
I think Rising is proof that a world with less Kojima involvement could work.
Yeah. I would play, whether it's Raiden.
I bet Kojima, more than anyone, is pretty fucking stoked about that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That guy needs an editor.
Yeah.
He needs a filter.
Yeah.
Pure unfettered Kojima is too much.
I mean,
it's too much.
Given that yourself up to it, you would go insane.
Giving that game to Platinum was just the smartest thing that Konami could have done.
Yes, that is true. But in general, I feel like his stuff is just...
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much him.
And that ending started, like, it was getting real close to that.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
It was just like, I thought I was going to get through this without this.
Yeah.
I think of him more and more.
But it's got that, but then...
It's contextualized, like,
it's
the way it's presented.
Of cursing, and it just goes in this really crazy...
Nanomachines, son!
Yeah. Exactly.
I haven't played this game. I'll see how it goes. But
the way it's contextualized is almost, in some ways, it feels like Platinum making fun of what Kojima does.
Okay, great. Totally in.
Like, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, like, there's always those moments at the end of those games where it's just, Kojima writing a high school essay.
Yeah.
And this game starts to go down that path with this Yahoo Ron Paul, the world is rigged answer.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get a little frustrated. But then you're looking at, that's if you're only paying attention to the dialogue.
Yeah.
But then all the stuff that's happening around it, and who's saying it.
Yeah, exactly.
And what that means for the world, the post-MGS4 world, is pretty funny.
That sounds pretty good.
Is really worth playing. Like, it's a lot. I hope Platinum Games gets a chance to make another one of these.
Yeah.
I'm still worried about Ground Zeroes and whatever Phantom Pain is, though.
Sure.
Yeah. But we got this, and hopefully it does well, and
sure.
I'd like to see Platinum get another...
We'll see how that stuff turns out. I think of him more and more as this George Lucas kind of figure of this, central auteur who has, so bought into his own hype and is so up his own ass that, and is so valuable within his creative framework that.
But also just maybe he's also trapped.
Nobody can tell him no, though. But whatever the fuck he wants to do, he gets to do. Nobody can be like, hey, Hideo, maybe that's not the best idea. Like, he doesn't hear that anymore.
Yeah,
like his shit is so over the top now. That stuff is always better when there's somebody there on the sidelines, like, who knows when to reel it back in.
But I think why Rising is so much fun, because it's Kojima with an editor.
When was the last time you felt like that he had that editor, though? Do you feel that 4 he didn't have it, or
no?
But earlier
really
games
liked 4 for being just fucking laid out, fuck you, crazy.
Right, but I don't want that every game. That's the fact.
Right.
That is the last time I ever want that out of him.
I want it every couple of games. Every even-numbered game. I feel like a good Metal Gear.
I feel like
game.
I've seen it. You know, I've seen it, and I don't know what else he's got up his sleeve.
That's the magic.
I can't believe your favorites are 2 and 4. I cannot even process it.
That's the brilliant part of it all, is how long can he keep this going? How long until it all just crashes and burns and it's just gone? I don't think it's gotten there yet.
To answer your question, I think 1 was the last time he had that.
He had something to prove.
1 was the last time that it was not just him going buck fucking wild.
Dude, whatever. The fucking FMV fucking doves and fucking nuclear power is bad. That was the worst of it. That was the worst of it.
I know. It had brilliant characters. Like,
it did. But the end of that game...
Again, it's Kojima and his endings.
Yeah, maybe.
Metal Gear Solid 1 was sort of like an 80-20 split of military political intrigue to, like, over-the-top anime
But it was
bullshit.
also like an 80-20 split of gameplay to cutscene.
Whatever, that's irrelevant, but the point is...
You just accept that with Kojima.
As of 2, that
you
ratio...
do now, but then you didn't.
As of 2...
Because back then games were games. And that's why I'm saying...
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm saying fuck Metal Gear Solid.
Whatever, you're completely shifting the goalposts here.
No,
the point is that ratio inverted when 2 came along, and it was just over-the-top anime from then on.
Yeah.
That's when he he was publicly saying, "I wish I was a film director," and like it was coming across in his games.
Totally.
And
I would say that about the first one.
Like after 2 was when he gave that quote about like it's my Metal Gear and I can destroy it if I want to.
And that's beautiful.
And I hate 2 and I hate 4, but I also respect the hell out of that. Like, I'm okay with a guy saying "fuck my fans."
Yeah, if he's like,
that's okay.
If you're coming with me on this ride, I am fucking driving.
It's my ride.
You.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But
and I'm kind of
play as Raiden, and you know what? You will play as Raiden. You're not going to not buy the game. What are you going to do? Not buy the game?
It wasn't.
We're going to hide it in our marketing materials.
Yeah. It wasn't even the presence of Raiden that got to me, but that's beside the point. It's
anyway, Rising.
I'm happy for more non-Kojima Metal Gear.
Yeah.
games.
That's why I think this is so exciting.
Long story short, like this is a good development that this came out well and worked. It's kind of unfortunate on a certain level that Konami is still the company that gets to decide what happens to Metal Gear Solid one way or the other.
It'll be a soccer game by this time next year.
Yeah.
Free to play.
All right.
Yeah.
My problem with 3, though, and that it's anything in that setting, really.
The 60 stuff, the Big Boss stuff?
The 60 stuff where it's just like Big Boss and, he's a clone, he just looks like Snake, and he just talks like Snake, and we got all these guys that are just surrogates for the characters that you already kind of understand, or in fact are those characters, and like that stuff was always way too convenient.
I guess with the characters, the characters are so good in 3.
Not to extend out the George Lucas comparison, but that's the problem with practically any prequel is like the overwhelming temptation to make everybody in your milieu just intrinsically related. Yeah.
Or they all know each other. And all that
everybody is everybody else's father, or they were there as a child, or like you just can't resist that temptation.
Between that and the camo meter, I'm out.
See, I loved all that. I loved all the weird systems that. Like, I wanted that stuff in Tomb Raider. I want weird-ass, like, fucking hunting systems in Tomb Raider.
Deal with that in the middle of Tomb Raider? Like, oh, shit, I got to change the camo to this, Like,
maybe not like that, but it was an interesting idea and put the onus on the player to manage the character in a way that most games do not even try.
Maybe
instead they just say
time the technology was not at a point yet where that could be done in a way that was manageable and user friendly.
I don't think it's tech limited. I think it's like you have to try it and then just see where it goes. Other games were not doing player simulation in any meaningful way. At least in a big budget game.
That was largely just a design problem because you just had to go through menus and menus to apply bandages to whatever.
Yeah, like all that stuff.
Redress your wounds or set a broken bone, and you just have to you would stop a boss fight to set a broken leg or whatever.
Right.
You know?
But look at that game. You can shoot a boss in one of the opening sequences and then never face him later.
Yeah.
How fucking cool is that?
That's amazing. And the fight with the sniper.
Yeah,
is
that's the one. You can kill him early on.
Right. Well, yeah. There's a way to do it quickly, or that fight can take hours if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
But then he can't get his gun, right?
Yeah. You can either
if you kill him when he's in the wheelchair when you're spying early in the game, then you don't get access to that stuff. But it's just the fact that someone tried that out, and then it's reflected in the game.
It's a lot of really interesting ideas. It's just that what the way Metal Gear Solid started, what I thought it was for that first game, is not at all what it went on to be, and maybe never was. But at least they really duped me the first time.
Yeah.
And I've been a little bit bitter that it turned out very differently ever since.
Would you rather it just went like this standard, non-crazy, like more rooted in real military?
A little bit crazy was fine. Like the first game is a little crazy.
The first game is super fucking crazy.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
The first game is pretty nuts.
But not in the way that it just they took the shackles off and just went after that. I liked the mix in the first one.
And one establishes the baseline of crazy, and then it's just that it's off the charts from there.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Psycho Mantis and
you did.
Raven with his pseudo mystical shit. There was some weirdness in the first game, but it still felt grounded.
Well, you were still
remember when your contact turned out to be your brother?
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
That was fucking so stupid. Wearing sunglasses in the little fucking little communique thing,
Codec
and then he takes those off and suddenly
was not as advanced then as it is now.
The codec technology was not.
I always assumed it was that you couldn't actually see those faces. It was just audio communication.
Oh, you felt like that was just.
Oh,
but then the image changes.
Oh, I know.
It's
just a storytelling.
There's
device.
goofy stuff in every single Kojima game ever made.
Totally.
But then the end of 2 rolled around, and it was the things that have been pulling the strings worldwide are actually these disembodied intelligences that cohered within the walls of the White House. It was the living embodiment of patriotism has come to be.
But it wasn't that. It was these AIs. It wasn't even.
Yeah, but that's not how they presented it at the time.
They used flowery Kojima-like language.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's computer AI.
Yeah. Yes, I mean their explanation for it is
and maybe, consciousness living on in a severed arm and all this ridiculous shit.
It went anime crazy,
way beyond any kind of plausibility whatsoever.
As long as you stop that mobile nuclear platform.
Yeah,
that's what Metal Gear's really about, right?
That's the biggest farce of that series. That became the greatest enemy that the world has ever known. Was these giant fucking mechs that shoot nukes?
A tiny man with an electric sword can cut into fucking 1 billion pieces.
That's really what that whole series is about, right? Stopping
this absurd mech.
Because if that gets out,
well, think about what
forget
it was
everything else. Forget the dudes who can read your mind, the dudes who can summon ghosts.
That's whatever.
If this fucking thing launches
what is that?
If that thing can launch a nuke from anywhere, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Dirty bombs, not dangerous. These giant mechs that we can see a mile coming.
The Metal Gear was invented in an era when dirty bombs were not a thing.
Yeah, sure.
You have to at least.
No, I buy into that part of the fiction. I'm okay with that.
I think it's all completely fucking nonsense, so I buy into all of it. Sure. I have no problem with this is a really ridiculous video game. It's the most absurd part about Metal Gear Solid is the entire series is that anyone would ever take it seriously. It stabs at some sort of we're going to have a message or we mean something. That is the most absurd thing about Metal Gear Solid because those games are fucking farce.
Sure. The themes even in the first one were so heavy-handed. It was tough to. Can love bloom on a battlefield? Sure. I agree with you on that.
For the time though, heavy-handed was more than a lot of games are even trying to do.
Sure. I was shaking my head in '98. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of the soliloquies that occur during the newsreel footage of launches or whatever. Yeah, it's dumb. I agree.
It's the bald eagle soaring over the mountaintops. The FMV shot of that I'm like, fuck you.
The snowmobile.
I look past
Preaching
that
to me about your politics.
I was on board because of the intrigue. The double crossing and the subterfuge.
The sequence where you're driving down at the end, where you're driving with the Jeep down the tunnel and you're shooting rockets and shit. It's awesome.
Well, the stuff that got me was
And
the stuff with
the Cloak and Dagger stuff's pretty good
yes,
too.
the Cloak and Dagger stuff, all the stuff with Fox Die and Decoy Octopus, and
but a lot of that stuff also falls up its own ass with the ridiculous code names and everyone having at least 2 to 3 identities over the course of the game.
I just like the had to look at the back of the box to get the frequency.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Why didn't more games do that?
I didn't have the box.
I learned what DARPA was. It was educational.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think DARPA's involved in that kind of shit?
You should look up what DARPA's been up to lately.
Exactly.
Well, I don't
Look
need
up-
to. It's
Google-
Kojima just tells me every 3 to 4 years.
Google DARPA Big Dog.
It's way crazy.
Yeah.
They're working on this robot called Big Dog.
I've seen Big Dog.
Have you seen that thing?
Oh, yeah. When the guy's
Dude.
trying to kick it over on the ice.
That thing is terrifying.
That thing looks like a tiny Metal
It
Gear.
looks like a Metal
Gear.
Gear.
Yeah.
It literally the legs look like they're
Kojima's a
taken
fucking
off,
prophet. He's
taken
a
off
prophet
of
of
those
our time.
mooing Metal
Oh,
Gear things.
You're on Yahoo Answers, aren't you?
Exactly like it.
No, Kojima is. Where do you think all this stuff comes from?
Okay, let's
terrifying.
move on to some news then. That's everything everyone's been playing.